62,000 new trucks, which came as Indian rupee, and wherever we had the requirement of the hard currency, it came in dollars. 62,000 came here and we have spent in full. Now I want to give you a figure. How much has accrued to the government here through taxes which we pay, especially the income tax and the company tax who work here, plus then the local businessmen who work with us. All infrastructure, we put 100% to local companies. Out of this 62,000, our audited figures are accrual in Bhutan 20,000 million out of 62. And retained in Bhutan, again now, Bhutanese entrepreneurs, business houses working with us have to get resources to do their part of the project from India. That means that much outflow from whatever budget we have. When I talk of net, what stays in this country was 9,000 million. 9,000 million. Out of 62,000, 9,000 has net stayed in this country. And in last 4.5 years, it gives you something like 200 crores a year. Indian currency coming to this country, net 200 crores per year for the last 4.5 years. Now, I come to the subject which Professor Iyer also touched, current Indian rupee crunch in this country. How I would like to understand. I read a number of articles by some very good economists from this country and also from my country. Everybody blaming hydropower, the greatest villains on earth. I have not understood how this hydropower development here in this country, especially the under construction ones, would be a drain on Indian rupee reserve in this country. I have failed to understand, believe me. I may not perhaps understand economics. Friends, coming down now small in that oven, what I find, today the employment provided, directly people working under our own administrative control for the two projects and with our contractors. Can you think of the appointments given? It's something like 3,000. 3,000 families are provided with their living. We come to the, I don't know, you may be knowing, we have small township in Wangdi, the old town near that Zone area got shifted. Well before 2007, 2008, when we were adding our the pre-construction stage investigations of 2001, we saw on the other bank of the river, when you travel from Thimphu, we are on the right bank of the river as the river flows. On the left bank, we had huge big area of land, roads laid out, plots already done, and electricity poles, the street lighting provided without electricity. And nobody came for construction in 2008, nobody came for construction in 2009. It was only towards the end of 2009. That initially there had been some local problems about the allotments and who would get it or who would not get it. Finally, the construction was off. Friends, without any agreement, without any memorandum of understanding with us, people came up with construction case because they were shifted from the local. Everybody there owning 4-story houses, 3+80. Without any understanding, without any commitment from the two authorities for their houses to be taken on land. Yes, it was an opportunity for us. We could see it. We saved money. We did not do temporary construction for people who have to be there at the construction stage. Because at the construction stage, we have today directly under our administrative control about 2,000 people, which ultimately when we go to the option maintenance stage, we have worked out details, it was something like 1,008. So for 1,008, we are trying to do permanent colonies at various locations in the project area, which is essential for the option maintenance stage. But the additional 1,000, which is required for construction, believe me, we are 100% on rent. We have rented all those buildings. And when they see the main colony coming up, we have gone slow on the construction of the main colony, which is ultimately required for the permanent stage. Towards the end of the project construction, we have to shift. People have started feeling now uneasy that why these people will shift from here. That's the type of the advantage of a project like this. I have my figures. We have taken something like 26,000 square meters of constructed area. 26,000 square meters. Number of buildings, both sides. On the right bank of the river, in Northeast we have Lobesa. On the other bank is this Majutan. And do you know what we pay? Per month we pay something like almost 3 million rupees. Again, that is Indian currency getting into the local economy. Friends, for the local community and our own people now who are living there, we did 2 schools. Existing schools, extension. It could be as good as new schools. 18 classrooms and an electricity to provide, yes, education for people who are working directly with us and for the local communities. We have, friends, health facilities. I don't know how many of you would be knowing. We had a small basic hospital, BHU, in Bambi on the other bank, this Baju bank, a small one. The time we took over and started CONCLAVE, immediately it was upgraded, we added units and expanded, it was more than doubled. Today we have facility for plus 20 beds and we have converted it to a district hospital. All these things do not come to the notice of the public unless we have a forum like this where we could be speaking about it. I'm so happy to be a part. I would just like to tell you here, you'll find very few people from the government here. I think I may be the only exception. But I'm really very, very happy to be here. To be talking to you, to be telling you what I feel from my heart. I'm not speaking from my head, being. We have, friends, health facilities to be provided for the entire catchment of that area. Starting right from Punaka, a 40-bed hospital. A beautiful structure will come up. God willing, in the next 3 years it will be optional. Including a residential complex for the doctors and the paramedical and the administrative staff of that 40-bed hospital. It will be the most modern hospital of that size in this country. And the cost something like 550 million, 55 crores, which we are doing through both the projects as centralized. But these are very small things. If you go there, you will find the cooperative farming. They have from various districts, right from the best experience a person can have, comes after about 2.5 decades of working very intimately with a particular profession. So anybody who is in early 50s, late 40s is the right person who should be available in the field to have various alternatives assessed correctly and zeroed in on an alternative which is to be taken up for construction. What happens generally in our culture, that's the Eastern culture, the DPR formulation, the investigation, is not taken as seriously as when we go for construction. Because, as you will agree, doing a DPR, doing an investigation is peanuts as compared to the cost of such mega projects. So the seriousness of getting people and placing them there, providing facilities for them. I recall days when we used to get senior people. Generally you will find people after 45, after 50, having high blood pressure, hypertension, generally. And when it comes for them to come to high altitudes, and that to high altitudes where you don't have proper roads, you don't have even proper tracks, and where they will have to trek to go to locations which ultimately matter for deciding the final component-wise location. It was extremely difficult for them. And even if we get such people, real good experts, we have top people, they come for a day or two. And getting the best, optimizing the best on a project doesn't come with such visits only 2 to 3 times. This is my firm belief. So, the best part in our DPRs is that at pre-construction stage, it is an unwritten thing for us to go ahead with detailed investigations, pre-construction stage investigation and optimizing. Horizontal 1 and 2 are examples for that. I don't have time here and you will not be interested in knowing the technical details. What I would like to tell you here, in Horizontal 1, we did the changes in just about 4 months time at the pre-construction stage, and investigation carried out by the same agency, assessment done by the same agencies, as I said, Blackpost, Central Audit Commission, Central Authority and Judicial Secretary. Top 4 in the country, in my country, they got associated and we could optimize finally the project from its 1095 megawatts capacity to 1200 megawatts capacity. We initiated a change for a dam which is unique in Himalayas, unique in the world today. A concrete gravity dam which goes 80 meters below the river bed level. Riverbed, if you see anywhere, when water is moving, you will find huge big boulders, pebbles, sand, all that stuff up to 80 meters of depth at that location, which is to be completely removed. Imagine for a dam which is only 50 meters high, literally above the river bed is only 50. 80 you have to go below the river bed, exploit the whole damn thing and replace it by concrete. This looked very, very difficult when we started. Therefore, we thought that we should scan the river and come up with a place which could be having lesser depth, we call it overburden depth in the river bed. Friends, we had a reason. Punasam 2 was under investigation that time, and Punasam 1 dam to Punasam 2 dam was just a distance of 12 kilometers. 12 kilometers downstream of that place in the river, the depth of foundation was coming to only 30 to 35 meters below the river bed. All these boulders, sand and pebbles were only 35 meters. Compared to 80 at Punasam 1 dam site. Going downstream from that site along the river for almost 4 kilometers. The river had been scanned first by Norwegians, second time by Japanese, third time by Indian experts. So it was ruled out to go downstream. So what we thought that we come upstream and if we would be lucky, perhaps the depth of foundation would be less. We came and tried our best. The optimum place above which we is the location where we are doing it. And if you see, we started the investigation that it will come to 35 to 40 meters. It came to full 80 meters here itself. But shifting, we have shifted by 1.5 kilometers, has given us an advantage of 25 meters of fall level. Hydropower is quantity of water and the fall level, which we harness. And we got an advantage of about 25 meters of height against 275 of original. And the status remained the same, whether we do dam here or we do here. Same 80 meters to go down. And this was established well before we took up real vision, failed to understand the emergent geology. Today we will be happy to know that we are almost 100% covered in the underground construction. And the station capacity has increased marginally by 30 megawatts. Between the two projects, we have added 135 megawatts, which is more than Kurichu in the east, 60 megawatts, and two Basachus, 64, 184 megawatts. This is just an optimization which was a necessity. Gentlemen, I thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. I hope I have not been too boring, although I know this subject may not, my bakery may not interest much. Thank you very much.
There are a lot of challenges for sure in building the Hydropower, and the experience is going to be very useful in the future, because experiences of these projects, doing these projects in the beginning, will actually benefit in doing the next lot and moving towards that 10 gigawatt by 2022. Interesting figures that will be of very good use to the public is the kind of per capita energy access that is happening. I always look at the economic angle as a larger picture, and it is very clear that the energy poverty levels for India is exorbitant when you see the energy access situation which Mr. Kazanji gave. Especially for us, it's just 2.2 megawatt per thousand population in comparison to the 2 megawatt we have reached, and he gave the advanced nations, fundamentally Canada, having a 4.5 megawatt per thousand versus even United States of 3 megawatt. And remember one thing, in fact, his presentation of Pune Sanchu, Heather Mehta presented in a Canadian university, called Concordia University, and there they appreciated the work done in Bhutan. I mean to say, they even not knowing, because Canadians always thought they were the ones who were doing all the hydro project. So when they realized that India and Bhutan were cooperating in such massive project management and development here, and that too in very, very young mountains, the Himalayas are extremely young mountains, working here, I tell you, both the Indians and Bhutanese engineers, I tell you, will have to be in the future labeled as the best engineers. I'm telling you openly, and there is no, I'm not flipping an eyelid, because not only am I a media man, but an engineer, and I will tell you that the engineers from both India and Bhutan have to be labeled the best hydro engineers. So you must give a big hand for that. And I want to further be confident with this. I want Mr. Bakli sir has definitely seen the world, and I think I would like to have Dasho in India in sometimes in this thing in one of my hydros, this not only here, because he has come all the way here, he has great experience. And I want his views today on hydropower and also probably on the other aspects of growth of the economy, because he has seen all of that and he has been part of it. Bakli, please come.
Good afternoon to everyone. In fact, it's been quite a number of years that I have not spoken in a public forum like this, but yet I bring no papers, nothing with me, but I bring memories. And first of all, I would like to congratulate the organizations of HYDROVISION CONCLAVE 2014, spearheaded by Professor Iyer, and I wish all of you a great success in this program. I am KB Wakle, and I think I see a lot of very young faces here. I think this is the time for the younger generation in Bhutan, and I was trying to think what I should talk about. I know many things, but I thought that since we are dealing with hydropower on the energy issues, I thought that let me recapitulate the government of India's generous assistance to Bhutan in the power sector. I have the plants in eastern Bhutan. We had the Halanji powerhouse, we had the Chenari powerhouse, which was done in 1972. Then we had 1972 the Hydropower power plant. Then we had, during the 88 it was commissioned, the Gecha mini hydro plant of 1.5 megawatts. Then we had a 20 kilowatt set in Lunsi. And that was the beginning of the first part, beginning of history basically in the development assistance from Government of India in the power sector. Then, when I had joined the civil service in 84, the second major sector in the power sector was going on. When I joined, the Chuka power plant was in construction stage. It was commissioned during 86 and 88. Then, subsequently, we had the Kurichu, which began its construction activity sometime in 1997, 98, 96. If you see the gap, there has been a little bit of problem in our planning process. And there is quite a bit of gap. If you look at Suka, which was commissioned completely in 88, and then we had 96, 97, which began. So about 18 years gap was there. And then we had the Tala, we had the Punatangsu 1, Punatangsu 2, and Manglish under construction. Likewise, there are other summer projects going to come in the immediate future. Then on the areas of the electrification, the transmission lines, again there, the Government of India has funded the evacuation of lines, the construction of the lines from Chuka power plant to the Indo-Bhutan border within the northwestern districts of Bhutan. These are transmission lines. Then subsequently other areas interconnected with the Punachangsu and other projects in the eastern Bhutan. The whole eastern grid, we call it the eastern grid, was funded by the Government of India. And nowadays the Punachangsu 1, Punachangsu 2, the transmission lines are under construction. Then in the other areas, rural electrification, it was the Government of India funding the projects, and I happen to be quite fortunate that starting 1996 until 2001 or 2002, I was involved with the plan talks as a delegation from Bhutan, biannual plan talks we used to have. And the rural electrification, and we should not forget, today we have a very stable supply in Thimphu. The phase 1 of the project, sub-transmission and distribution in Thimphu, phase 1, phase 2, as well as in Waru and the sub-transmission distribution in Punchiling. It was all funded by the Government of India. Because the information relating to the public in general came, private media came very late and all that. Most of the people didn't have the access to televisions. So they probably lacked the information to the extent of India's generous assistance in the power sector development in our country. So I think this is a very important forum for the young generation of Bhutan, the young entrepreneurs in Bhutan, and the very courageous and very encouraging words spoken by Professor Iyer, that this is not only the talking about hydro development, but it is basically trying to give the impetus to the developing programs that are being carried out in our country. And the driving force behind any development power sector. It is growing at a very fast pace. And one of the points that I noted from what Professor Ayaz spoke was the quality of assets. To me, as an engineer, I am an electrical engineer by profession, but my experiences goes down to civil engineering, mechanical engineering, structural engineering, whatsoever. The asset quality, just to recall the quality, let me just tell you about the Bhakra Dam, which is probably over 100 years now. I was fortunate, one of the fortunate Bhutanese to go into the Bhakra Dam, and you have to climb a vertical ladder. Fortunately or unfortunately, I had to tell a lie to get into that, saying that I was from Darjeeling, because no foreigners are allowed to go into there. And I was having my training when I was doing my engineering training in the Gangwala powerhouse. And I'll be just trying to connect a lot of things together. What Mr. Khatanji talked about the remedial measures, I was trying to understand things in Pune 1. I've seen this quite old time, 1982, in the Gangwala powerhouse, trying to avoid sliding of areas and all that. Technologies are there. Advanced technologies are there. But what is important is the suitability of the technology to the situation prevalent at the present time. It is very, very important. I'm talking about the progress that we have made in the power sector. It is very important to have infrastructure which is of very high quality. Today, one of the things, okay, there are plans, programs, a lot of thoughts going on in the government sector about trying to have a common corridor for evacuation of power from this very large plants of 1,000 megawatt and above in Bhutan to India, in the Bhutan, Indo-Bhutan border. But what I see today in the last 5-10 years that the developments are taking place, look at the transmission lines. It is basically connecting one powerhouse to the India-Bhutan border. There is a policy, there is a theory behind that they should try to combine a couple of powerhouses and try to have a common corridor. Probably we might have to go in for higher circuit, more number of circuits in the transmission towers. We need to modernize. And basically when I started my career, in 3 months after my joining the department, I was given the responsibility to handle 170 million project. I had no experience. I had no experience of writing letters. You are a fresh graduate from the college, but that was the responsibility that stood on me. And then I had to open an office. I had to run the office. I was all alone. There was nobody there. So I was posted after 3 months here in the capital to Funchiling, and I had to, start an office, come residence in one of the flats in Funchiling. And then the survey of the line started. The first line was from Funchiling to Pasaka. There was no industries there. There are villages. They used to cultivate, millet and maize around there where they have to take BCCL and REPA. And then the line to Gomtu where they had very unstable power from Bilpara, and people used to steal the tower members, and then in a single day 4-5 shutdowns they used to have, and then there was problem in running the factory. And just to give you an information, the first line that we had commissioned for evacuation of Chuka power, Funchiling substation was existing there because the power from Bilpara was coming to Funchiling, and from there the line was drawn by the 66 kV line to Chuka for the construction power. So that same line was used for evacuation, and from Funchiling to Gomtu, we commissioned that line. I was the project manager for that and many other projects together. It was in March 1987. I wasn't here, I was outside where the commission was taking place, so one of my colleagues had gone there and commissioned. So it was March 1987 where we commissioned the line from Funchiling to Gomtu, and then from Funchiling to Pasaka. And And I was one of the fortunate ones to be involved with very senior government official then. And the first one is 1985-84. Let me just tell you how, sometimes today we talk of entrepreneurship in business. But what is required today, especially in a democratic setup today we have in Bhutan, is we require very capable people who can really take decisions, entrepreneurs in the government as well. I'll give you a couple of examples to relate to that what is required today in developing Bhutan, how we can help sustain what we call the engine of growth, the private sector. 1985, it was the month of February, and I happened to meet our late planning minister, deputy minister. He was a genius minister those days, and then I requested him. That time the line to Pasaka was under construction, so he called me. I was in Funchiling, and then he called me for a breakfast in Hotel Group. For the first time, I had breakfast in a Hotel Group with the deputy minister. So that was probably one of the remarkable days that I had in my career. And then I requested him. I said, Dasho, we should call Dasho, my deputy minister, we should call Dasho. I said, Dasho, we go and visit my transmission line site where construction is going on. There is no road from Funchiling to Pasaka. So I had an office jeep, so three of us, the deputy minister, myself and my driver. He was the driver. And then I drove him off via Mangalbari, going through the border, to the Indian border to Pasaka, where today you see that Campagula factory. Somewhere we had parked our vehicle this side and we walked across the river, and then I started showing him that this is the line. Some towers are already being erected, and then the factory was to commission, the factory was to start. And when I started explaining him, he looked at me and he said, Mr. Conclave, you must be at least working for 10 years. And I tell you, except my little gray hair today, I was looking much more old those days than today.